Pari and Yosef are the shor. Pari and Yosef are the par and the shor. Pari is par and Yosef's ali shor. And it's licked in the words. Like there's a klal in Lashon HaKodesh. I mean, it's a whole different sugi, but we learn when we talk diktuk. So we go with like all the Bali diktuk, the Spanish, Doinash, and Menachem, it's 3-letter Shroshim. But in Kabbalah it doesn't work like that. There's no such thing as 3-letter Shroshim. Every letter has a meaning. There's 22 letters. Every letter has a definition. A word is just a combination of its letters. So there's really only 22 meanings in the world. And then when you combine them, but it's not accurate that it's 22 because in order to have a thought, you need to have 2 points. 2 points creates a ray. So 2 letters is already a musik. So there are reish, lamed, hey, lamed, relash arim. 200 different combinations of letters. Aleph, 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 Beis, Aleph, Gimel, Aleph, Dalet, Beis, Aleph, Beis, 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 Gimel. You go through each letter now, 22 times 22. That how it was the doubles, right? So it's less. 22 times probably 21. It's how much?
You got me.
Okay, whatever. It's not important. But this is it's called the Sefer Yetzirah goes through them. It's called the Rolasha Arim. He has there's like a chart. You write the Aleph Beis this way and Aleph Beis this way, and then you end up with Aleph 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 Beis.
It always adds up.
What?
It always adds up.
No, not how that adds up. Those are words. It's just those are all the musagib in the world. And every time you I'll show you how it works. But then every time you add a 3rd letter to a 2-letter shirish, all those words will have to be very, very similar. Meaning every letter that you add to Peiresh is going to have to be similar because already it's Peiresh means something. So it's a Peiresh Aleph, Peiresh Beis is just subtle distinction. And the same thing with Shinresh. Every letter you add is going to be almost the same. But the idea that each letter has a meaning is like I'll show you. Like just what does Aleph mean? Aleph. Aleph is used all over Torah. Sometimes it means a chief. Alufe Esav, right? Aleph is a chief. Aleph is a teacher. Alufi Yudoi. Aleph is in any system. It's the guy on top. Like the English. I think that's where the English word aloof comes from. It's the person who's on top. That's Aleph. What does Beis mean? House. So what does Aleph Beis mean?
Head of the house.
That's what Av is, right? And Av is in the Aleph bias, right? But technically every word in Lashon HaKodesh should be like that. You should be able to assemble any, and it's not just the name of the letter. Every letter has, this is really its own share, but every letter has its own, every letter is what it's perfectly defined by all of its facts. Meaning, how many aspects does a letter have? If you wanted the total Havana of a letter, so what do we know about a letter? How many things do you know about it? It has a name, mem, shin, has a name, right? What else does it have? It has a shape. It looks like something.
Sound.
It has a sound, a type of sound it makes. There's the sounds that you make with your tongue, sounds that make with your lip, sounds with your teeth, your palate, right? There are 4 different habatos. Right, the gutturals, dentals, palatials, like there's different ways that we speak. So they each have different subtle, and even within those letters, there's subtle distinctions. It has a shape, a name, a number, sound, and a number, or an order in the Aleph Beis where they fit in, a numerical value. So when you take all that data and you put it together, that's what the letter is. So you can recreate the Aleph Beis on your own without needing to know anything. They really are what they are, every letter. Anyway, so let me just show you what Peiresh and Shinresh. So Peiresh is a good, when you're showing this, it's one of the best words to use because it's almost a word for every letter in the Aleph Beis. Peiresh Aleph means what? Pere Adam, wild. That's what I'm going to show you. That all Peiresh words are like a bull. What's a bull? Wow. No focus, all over the place, disunified. Okay. wildness, chaos, wildness, and let's call it disunity and unity. Okay, good follow up for the last year. Peiresh means disunity. And in Kabbalah, also the gematria of Peiresh is 280. Is the gematria they use of all of Peiresh dinim, they call it. But it's the gematria of all the letters in Hebrew that have two ways of writing them. A dual, all the dual letters. Menatzpach, Mem, Nun, Sadik, Pei, Chaf. Those are the letters that have end letters. Number's 280. Just the remez that Peiresh represents duality. Peiresh Aleph means wild. Peiresh Beis, I don't know a word. Peiresh Gimel is a divider, a paragoid. That divides. Peiresh Dalet is period, division. Peiresh Hey is to multiply. Right? Peiresh Vav is also to multiply. Prove, whatever, to fruitful, to multiply. Peiresh Zayin, Orei HaProzos, to spread out. Pizor. Pizor is to scatter. Right? Peiresh Tes. Protim, lifrot, to break it apart into its details, to take the klal and break it into the protim, okay, prat as opposed to klal, okay, klar. Peiresh yud also is to multiply. Peiresh chaf is to break, right? Avodas perach. Peiresh lam, I don't know a word. Peiresh Mem is prima, some kind of tearing apart. Peiresh Nun, that's a hard little. What is lefarnes? It's to distribute, to disseminate.
Yeah, prachim.
What?
Prachim?
Who?
Prachim, like flowers?
Flowers, yeah.
Oh, I skip to flowers also. Right, I skip
Expand.
the flower is to
Expand.
what?
Expand.
Yeah, but it's a certain kind of but it's a multiplying. It's going out from a central point in all different directions. Like same thing as ufaratsta, right? The same thing. Peiresh Tzadik. We get to Pir, but it means the same thing as the pirza. It's the same thing. It's a disunity. It's a spreading out, but it's a disunity that's spreading out. Prokim, parts. Same thing. The frok. The prokim is to break into its parts. What else? We skip protim. Samach nun samach pei. Pei is a monitor. Par is a butterfly. I think because it's like fluttery. It's like it's like a double par. It's like the most hyper thing there is a butterfly. It's if a bull, maybe, I don't know, but it's a modern word, so we're not mashudah to it. I don't think it's a biblical word. Is it a biblical word? Is there a word par in the Torah? I don't know. Peiresh Tzadik is to break. Peiresh Kuf is to break into parts, lefrog. Peiresh Reish is pirurim, is to crumble, to make crumbs. Right, pirurim. Any Peiresh Sin is Peiresh, to spread out also. Right, Peiresh Sukkah Shalom. So bottom line is all Peiresh words mean disunified. Okay? Shin Reish, I don't know, it's not that many words, not nearly as many words, but you think of all the words in Lashon HaKodesh that mean oneness. Gesher, a bridge. Kesher, Shoresh, Yashar. It's all the opposite, right? It's all oneness and it's crazy. It's like
Shir.
what?
Shir.
Shir. Well, Shira as opposed to Zimra. I know Shira is like what is it? It's some kind of, like we said last time. Song is the harmony, symphony. It's the unifying of all notes, making a song, combining disparate sounds.
Sar to rule. Sar to
Well,
rule.
sin is a complicated letter. Some things sin is the opposite of shin, but like din, and depending which side, like din or chesed, but on some level it has to be like sarara is control, opposite of chaos. right? Yeah. What else? I was thinking like certain words, like what's a nesher? I don't know why, but it seems like all these places use it as a symbol of unity. The symbol of the United States is an eagle. Right? Why is an eagle the symbol of unity? Kanesha Yorikino, maybe it holds its kid. I'm not sure. I don't know enough about eagles, but there's something that it's used as a.
I thought we were just the most powerful and we colonized everything.
That what?
I thought it represented like the most powerful bird and we just colonized America, so we take it.
Yeah. Also, could be what he called. Could be because it's like a bird, the highest view. It's like the total bird's eye view. The Nesher sees everything. You know.
That's unity.
What? That's unity. Yeah, that's unity. But I don't know if that's what. I don't know what it is. I just picture that as the symbol of of United States. So maybe this inherent something unifying. I don't know. If you type in, you Google unity and eagles, maybe they have a good shot. But if you know someone with a smartphone, you'll ask them. Anyway, so what was I saying? So that's the shor and the par, literally opposites. So Yosef is. Oh, I'll tell you that word also. It's a good word, good yisoid. Oh, it's perfect. It's perfect for Chanuka also. Why do we translate? Okay, this is what I should have done in the first place. This is a very useful kavanah, a lot of things. On Asar B'Teves, we have a fast day because we translate the Torah into Lashon Yavonis, right? Moshe Rabbeinu, before they went to Yisrael, he wrote the Torah. It says Be'er Hetiv, 70 lashonos. They wrote Torah on the rocks, 70 languages. So why is that considered? That's called Be'er Hetiv, well explained well. When it was translated to Yavonis, it's a tragedy. To translate into all 70 languages is beautiful. And I would imagine the 70 languages includes Yavonis, and a lot worse languages than Yavonis. What's pshat? You have a mahalach? What would you say? So it happens to be like this parsha. When Yosef was in jail, you know the Chazal, Yosef was in jail, the Pari spoke all 70 languages, and the Malach Gavriel came and taught Yosef the day before he came out of jail all Shivim Lashon. And Yosef came out, Paro, that was his game. He had like a different staircase, and everyone was able to rise one step, whatever language they spoke. Paro spoke 70. When Yosef got to the top, he spoke Lashon HaKodesh and Paro didn't. So he spoke one more language than Paro did. It's a famous Chazal. It's based on, and the Chazal say that Yosef didn't. Gavriel came to teach Yosef 70 languages, and Yosef was a shvacha student. He couldn't understand it. So he added a hey to his name, and then he was able to understand the 70 languages. And he taught him all 70 languages. That's what it says. That's the medrash. You heard this medrash?
Where's the hay?
So it's a capital. All of this is on the capital Tehillim. Edus b'Yahosef Samuel Eretz Mitzrayim Svas lo yodati eshma. Languages I didn't know, now I can hear. It's because he added that. This is the medrash. So it's such a random thing. Like, what does all this mean?
Have to do with that?
What?
What does the hay have to do with that?
So what does it have to do with that? What does it mean? What does it mean? Yosef was Yosef was dyslexic. What is it? What?
The Avram Yitzhak got the also got the haze.
Also got his. Okay, fine. I'll show you. It's the same thing. Avram Yisrael didn't mamish get a hay. They traded a yud for 2 hays. They cashed. They cashed the yud for 2
The
hays.
yud went to what's it called? To Yeshua.
That was a different yud.
That's
It's a
the same
different.
yud.
What? Could be a chazal like that. No.
Trying to wedge it in. Good.
We learned that the Rebbeinu Shalom gave all 4 of the letters of his name to the Bria. He gave Yeshua the Yud, Yisra he got the Vav, Yeser to Yisra, and Avram and Sarah got the 2 hays. So if you learn that he gave the Yud, so then he ended up we have an extra Yud somewhere. We can do it the Yud. But anyway, this is all random. I like to make things make sense. So this is the Nimitz. This is the mashal. Let's make this into something real.
Homework now.
My whole mahalach, by the way, is called religion. This is what I'm selling. Religion. R-E-A-L. That's my yisoid. So what is the real? None of this sounds anything close to religion. What? With the, very good. See, he's the accountant over here. Okay, we have an A and a Yud now. We have an extra Yud and a Hey that came from nowhere.
I'm just a class kaifer.
No, it's good. That's amazing. Very good. Very good. So there's no kfir when you make things real. In my Torah, you have to deny reality to be a kaifer. Let's see. So let's make it real. Can we make this real? It doesn't sound like we can make it real. It's like all this kind of random stuff. So why is Gabriel teaching him language? What does it mean that Pare spoke all 70 languages? That Yosef didn't. Like Yosef spoke 71. Now, all of a sudden, Gabriel's like a Rebbe. Gabriel, what does Gabriel do? Gabriel's the guy who destroys he's the guy who's Gevura. He destroys Sedoim, right? Even if there's a malach of knowledge, which malach is that? Mini Michael, Mismoili Gabriel, Milfanai Ariel, Me'achore Rafal, Michael is Chesed, Gevura is, Uriel is the malach of Chachma. Uriel, if there's a malach teaching whatever that means, that would make sense, at least on the right malach. But here it's not even the right malach, whatever this means. So here's the story. What is the relationship of Lashon HaKodesh to all the other languages? What's the relationship? Is it one of the 70? Are we number 1? Are we number 70?
According to that story, he knew 70 and then Lashon
Good, good. So that's what you see. So and it's not that there's 70 and there's 71. What it is that it's 1 and 70 are the same. It's macrocosm and microcosm. We believe that Lashon HaKodesh is the total definition of anything that there is. When you have something, Lashon HaKodesh describes, like a way I explained that the Aleph base.
The Rambam removed from that idea.
Okay, I mean, it's a universal idea. It's the idea that Lashon HaKodesh describes things. That Adam, it's a pasuk, right? The pasuk that Noach named all the animals. Adam kol asher yikra, everything that he called them, that's their name, right? Whatever Adam called them, that's the name. So, because what it means, a shame is, what's a shame? A shame means its place. It's a makam, it's a sham, it's a niche. You're describing the place it occupies in reality. So a name is definitive. In Lashon HaKodesh, at least, the name is definitive. So I use this aside to explain the difference between Lakewood Hashkafa and Torah Madan, the YU Hashkafa. And I do it in a very cool way. I tell them that, you'll see, I'll tell you what I tell them. Because it's better if I tell you this side and you'll hear it. It's like a troll. But what's the two Hashkafas? So the Torah Madan view makes a lot of sense. Basically, it's like this: you want to know the Rabbeinu Shalom, so you want to know any author, you have to read everything he wrote. You want to know someone, you want to know a composer, you listen to all his music. If you want to know the Rabbeinu Shalom, you have to read all his svarim. The Rabbeinu Shalom wrote 2 things. What did he write? We have a Torah, and what else? We have a Bria. The Rabbeinu Shalom was a mechaber of Torah and Bria. So therefore, if you want to know God, you have to know Torah and the Bria. You have to know both. What?
It's really one's a manifestation of the other one.
So that's our response is that you don't. So wait, what do they say? What is the relationship between the two, the Torah and the Bria? What's the relationship between the two?
It's not quite right.
No, but that's what I'm saying. If you're learning, it's 2 different chiburim.
Right.
If you're learning, it's 2 different chiburim. So what's the? And if it's 2 different things, so what's the relationship? So they would tell you that it's like the sciences and Torah are like Shabbos and the week. The Shabbos is the Chayil, and all the different. Let's say there's 6 sciences, and these sciences Davana, and Shabbos is what gives meaning to the week. It's the Malchus, and the same thing. Torah is the morality of the Bria. Meaning you learn the whole Bria, and you know science, and now you learn Torah. Torah teaches you how everything fits together, and what the hashkafa is, and what morality is, and what Kadesh, and what's Tamei, Torah, and Tamei. That's how they say it. Basically, you have to learn both. So what do we say? Our approach is no, is that the Torah and the world are identical. It's the exact same chibur. It's the same thing as a house and a blueprint. When an architect draws a blueprint, and now you want to know the whole house, so you have two ways to learn the house. One way is you go through the whole house, you take off the sheetrock, you learn about the plumbing and the electric, or you read the blueprint. But you don't need to do both. There's nothing in the house that's not the way they built the house was in the blueprint. So we look at Torah and Bria are identical. What the troll is, and it's not really a troll, is I tell them that the problem with Torah Mada is you don't have enough respect for Mada. They look at it as the secular world, the science without Torah doesn't have any morality. And we say no, if they're the same. Meaning if you just learned all of science, you would also know all of everything. The world itself it's the same as Torah. We believe that science has morality in it. We would learn everything.
Go backwards.
What?
You go from the world to
You can
Torah.
go both. It's the same thing. It's not backwards or forwards. It's the
Right,
same. Again, it's fear to call it backwards, masking. But you understand, like that's the prop. So
the backwards.
in our mahalach, that Torah is stakel b'raisa bara alma, so you don't need Torah, or you don't need science.
Right.
It's more rational to learn Torah than science. Why?
Source.
But you have leverage. You have more leverage. You can start if you have limited time.
Right.
Where you gonna cover more territory? You're never gonna finish the whole house. You're not learning the whole bria, right?
How does this fit with the Mishnayos that tell us, Rabbi Yehuda about Zman and there is Chachma B'Gayim and it's also nearer like them in Taka now.
We believe
like,
it's. We're saying there is
with
Chachma.
the Chachmei, what do you call it? The Chachmei Umas held that the world was round and the sun went around it and everything, and the
Yeah,
Chachmei
because
Yisrael held that it went through the thing, right? So
There's full of machloksim, but because they don't have a hekef, every chacham in the blueprint you can get the whole bird's eye view. If you're learning a field, you're never going to see you're never going to see the whole picture. The physicists, you can't trust them deduction because they don't know the whole mind of the machaber. But a guy who technically, like we believe the world could, but the world can reach shleimus, but it's only the whole world together. You'll hear by the punchline. You'll hear the punchline almost, and then I'll be able to go back and explain all these things. So this is the aside. The aside is that we believe that Torah is the blueprint and the world is the exact same thing. And therefore, if you learn Torah, you know everything. And if you can know all of science, you'd also know everything. You'd also know God. They're both the same. They believe you need both. If you need both, then you have less. It's called less respect for science. You believe that science is chasser. We don't believe science is chasser. We just think it's not a smart investment of your time to put your life into something. You'll cover a little niche when you can know the whole thing.
Two for the price of one.
Study the blueprint. Study the blueprint. Okay, so this is the relation. So therefore, this is the same thing with lands. Eretz Yisrael is a microcosm of the whole world. Lashon HaKodesh is Klal Yisrael is a microcosm of the world. We're not one of the 70 nations, and we're not 71. It's 1 or 70. Aleph and Ayin are very similar. One is the Klal, and one is broken into Pratim. Aleph is the unified. It's the Torah version. So what Klal Yisrael is to the Ummah, what Lashon HaKodesh is to Shar Lashon, what Eretz Yisrael is to all the nations, what Torah is to science. So now, if you speak Lashon HaKodesh already, so then what do you need? So what are all the languages? Every language is part of the emes. It's an angle, a viewpoint on the totality. But each language is a fragment. All 70 together make up the whole one. So if you speak Lashon HaKodesh, how do you learn all 70 languages? What did Yosef have to learn how to do?
Break it apart.
Break it apart. You understand that? If you already speak Lashon HaKodesh, so what's the avodah? You don't have to learn languages. You have to learn how to be a brisker, how to make dinim, how to flesh it out into all of its components.
So why do you need the hay?
What?
So why did you
Okay, hold on. So that's what a hay is. You'll see so like this. So what am I saying? So that's why it's Gavriel first of all. The koya, whatever it means, malachim. The koyach of havdalah, the koyach of pirud, the koyach of to break something into its parts. That's Gabriel. So what does it mean that Yosef was a shvacha student? It means that Yosef, it's against his teva to be a mavdil. He's the ma'achid. And he needed Gabriel to teach him how to be a breaker, a divider. Yosef's a ma'achid. And that's what it means that Gabriel taught him the 70 languages. So now you can go back and you can understand exactly what's going on with the 70 languages. So Moshe Rabbeinu translated Torah into 70 languages. The Greeks translated it into one language. Into what's wrong with translating the Torah into Yavanis?
1 for 1.
So therefore, what's
It's not transferable. It's
explain
just stuck in
what's missing?
It shows
stuck
that
in
it's
1/70th.
You're
No, that's
missing
the period.
69,
Right.
70.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with Greek, but you lost the whole Torah in translation. But if you translate the Torah simultaneously into all 70,
then you have
there's
both.
nothing nevad. It's total shlemus.
Not even that bad, but a Greek person reading only the Greek version that Moshe wrote would still have the same experience that he had
True,
when he read the.
translation wasn't that.
That what?
Meaning, very nice if you have a person that knows all 70 languages, he could either read the Hebrew one or all 70 of those and get the same thing. But for the Maisa that Moshe did, which is produce a Torah in Greek that
Yeah,
someone
so
can
each
read,
person who
it's the
reads
same
is
thing.
not getting the whole Torah. But
Right. Why-
what on the rock, it was covered besid. It wasn't even readable. They covered it. But the point is, that's called Be'er Hativ. The Torah in its kernel is unified, and then spread out, it's called Be'er Hativ. Totally fleshed out. That's what it is. And then there's nothing wrong. But now you can understand very good with it. By the way, the good marshal for this is when Yosef comes to the bear. So there's a bear. Be'er Hativ. This is the bear. This is the bear. So it's a marshal for the clarity of Torah. So what happens by the be'er is all the shepherds are gathered around the well. And Yosef says, why aren't you, Yaakov says, why aren't you drinking from the well? We have to wait for all the shepherds to come to roll the rock off. And Yaakov goes and he rolls the rock off. This is the marshal. This is what's going on over there. There's two ways to open up the bear. What are the two ways? One is for all the shepherds to get together, and together they roll the rock off, or Yaakov rolls it off. The be'er is opened up through Yisrael or through the Umais. You understand? Imagine there's 70 shepherds. So that would be perfect. Doesn't say how many they were. But if there were 70 shepherds, we would understand the 70. That's it. There's two ways that the world you could have the total Havana of all of existence without a niche view, without a biased view. The whole view. One is Torah and one is all of the Ummahs together. And that's what back to Yavon felt that they were the whole story. That's why Yavon translated, how many rabbis did they want translating into Yavanis? 70. They're in the cloud. Yavon held that they're the cloud. And they want the 70 views leading into Greek. Yeah, the 70 nations come to Lashon Kodesh, and then the 70 views of Kodesh come to Greece. Where the shar is gone, where the power is gone, where you're the shar. That Greece felt that they were the next step. So this is the nimshal. What's the hay? Why is the hay the symbol of this? The hay is always this. Dalit represents the relation of Dalit and hay in Machshava is that Dalit represents period, Dalit Ruchais, and the hay is the central point that Dalit Ruchais are Yotzei from. Then to the hay, it's an organized dispersal or it's dispersal without a central point. The Yud, that's where the Yud went. The Yud, it's the Yud in the hay that makes that. It's a yud that turns a dalid into hay, and the hay is so the hay is spreading out from one point. That's the visual muscle of a hay. So this is whatever. It's making it real, but it's not totally real. You have to still what's missing to make it to bridge the gap into like practical life. But you hear what I mean? Like, what do we solve? What do we translate? We're translating what Gabriel means. what 70 nations against one nation is, what Berhetiv is, why writing Torah on rocks, why translating to Greek is bad, translating to English is good. It's a total, it's one Yesod. It's a very, very useful Yesod to understand the relationship of Klal Yisrael to the Ummahs. It also explains very well, like, are we superior to the nations? Like, where's the justice in that? So what's the answer? According to this Mahalach, how would you describe Klal Yisrael's in relation to the nations of the world?
Completely separate world we're doing.
But okay, I understand we're separate. But what would be the relationship to each other? How would you describe? Klal Yisrael is what? So the nations are what to the Klal
A
Yisrael?
piece of us.
So-
They're
So-
separate. They're their
so-
own 70 against our one.
Oh,
is the
but
same
we're saying,
thing.
so you're right. So the way, if you needed to market it, the idea is that the Ummais are equal to Klal Yisrael. The Ummais, the world, there's two versions of life. There's a 70 to the 1. Yeah, each individual nation is,
170.
but we don't look at it like that. We look at it the 70 nations. Each nation has a role. Klal Yisrael. So then, when you put them both together, what's the relationship? So the way I explain it normally is when you have a symphony. When you have a symphony, you have all the different instruments. Those are the 70 nations. They're all the instruments. Klal Yisrael is the conductor. The conductor has to have he has to know all the instruments because he's
More of an av. He's a leader.
what?
He's more of an av then. He's not necessarily an equal. They need someone to guide them.
Well, it's who's the leader? Who's better?
So they need a leader. They need
He's
someone
the
to guide
only
them.
he's the only guy who has no skill in an instrument. Like all the
But he's the one that he.
so he has shaykhs to all of them. The difference
Right.
between a klal and a prat. It's like you used to go to doctors.
Leader is always part of the nation. He's leading. A leader is generally part of the nation. He's also leading.
Yeah, fine. I wasn't focusing the leadership on it. It's organically it'll be the leader, not because of a superiority per se, but because of everyone can look at him. Meaning the trumpet guy has no shaykhs to the violin,
Right.
but
He's the ma'achad.
he's the ma'achid because he is a trumpet and a violin. He didn't dedicate his whole life to trumpet, so he's not going to be as good of a trumpet player as a trumpet player is. But he has shaykhs to everything, you know. And that's Klal Yisrael, and that's why Klal Yisrael can go to all the 70 nations. We can fit in literally in every nation. Every nation will only nutzai certain kaichas from us, like we'll only relate on a certain level. But we have shaykhs to all the ummahs. That's a very good way to explain to people, like to explain it in philosophy. You know, you're not going to solve anti-Semitism, but at least people who are thinkers and want to understand what we believe. This is what we believe. We believe that the klal, you know, and there's a beauty to both. There's a beauty
So
to
your answer to what do you mean you're the chosen nation?
what? Well, again, chosen's a separate bechina. It's we have a role. What, you know, and then you could explain there are a lot of roles of the blueprint to the actual dinyan. You know, like what are the roles? The role is when you're making a puzzle, it's very good to have the cover of the box to help you make it. You know, it's like, but
Without the 70 nations, we wouldn't know what we're inherently made up of. Like they
that's a
split
cool
it
thing
up.
also. Like that's interesting. If you go that way, we can learn a lot about ourselves
They're split up for us, basically.
by looking at the 7. Each nation gives us you know, it's like it's a good muscle. In the old days, you went to a doctor. He was a doctor, and he knew everything. He took care of you. Today, we have like specialists in everything. The specialist knows much more in his field than the doctor that you went to knew, that I went to knew. But what is the doctor that I went to? He had a hekef. He saw the global picture. And there are things that are missed when a guy only has one angle. There's an interchange of the whole guf. So the guy, even though he was a much less sophisticated Havana, his skill was in the achdus of the whole thing. It's a holistic, you know, a little bit the same. This happens in every system. Even this is how I explain the Skatnu Hadoris. The Skatnu Hadoris, you know, in a way, people today are so much tiefer than anything before. Like, well, the achronim that I learned in yeshiva today, the lumdus that some Rosh Yeshiva is saying is so darkistic, and today we have every chakir of Chaim, you have layers and layers of dinim in his chakiras. There was a time when people were so blown away by Reb Chaim's chakiras. It was like, whoa! Now you can. Every door comes up with new levels each side. What do you mean? This time go it's like 100. Not because we're smarter, but we're standing on the shoulders of what came before us. So you end up so darkistic. But the difference is that you go back to earlier Rishonim, they knew Kol HaTerakula. They had everything. But this is what it means that Moshe sat in the base Medrash of Akiva, he had no idea what he was talking about. Moshe had the whole thing. Rabbi Akiva was like so fleshed out.
He was tying the crayons. He was tying all the crayons. He was.
Yeah. I'll just end. I don't know how long we're talking for already, but I'll just throw in this. Something I just said. Just said it's in Hotel Shalashidis. This is a Shalashidis Torah. It's for Chanuka also. So this is here. This is Chanuka. This is the oven talk. This was the whole. It wasn't what I wanted to teach. But okay.
Next year.
The oven. This one is not the oven. This one is like this. So I got like a question from a feminist. The feminists know chazals that we never heard. There's certain chazals that feminists dig up. So listen to this chazal. She says, "Chochmas noshim ba'pelach." You ever heard this chazal? The chochm of noshim. What's a pelach? In
Spindle.
spindle, right? We say we have it in B'derech shulcha b'kisho v'chaper tomchu pelach. In Eishes Chayil. A pelach says, what's a spindle? Not 100% sure. But I think it's some kind of round thing with holes in it. And you put strings into each of the holes. Then you twist it. And all of the strings become thread. It's like, I think something, it's making thread. Maybe I'm just imagining it's how it's done. Or I actually saw a picture. I have no recollection. But that's what I think a spindle is, something like that. Whatever it is, it's a thing that makes thread. So you understand that a feminist will get upset, it's like basically glorified your place in the kitchen. So what's a teretz? The teretz is like, you think Chazal are an aptitude test? It's like telling you what your career should be. Chazal are telling you musagim. When it says that chochmas noshim pelach, what's a pelach? A pelach is a thing that takes individual strands and makes them into a thread. That's the koyach of noshim. Koyach of Noshim is to take individual elements and make them into one whole. That's what Noshim. That's their predominant skill set, to make a mishpacha, to take tie everything together. A man has the opposite skill set. We can take a klal and break it into all of its strands, flesh it out. Break things. Take dinim. This bechina. It's not one thing called pleasure. It's 5 different types of pleasure. Whatever it is. But there's a very big value to make me ma'achid, and there's a very big value to be able to flesh things out, to havana and lumdus. That's what lumdus is. Lumdus is the ability to divide things, to flesh a klal, to make a klal into pratim. And her skill is to make pratim into a klal. This is why women light Shabbos candles, because they create achdus. And why men do havdalah. Havdalah is with a mavdil. We're the mavdil, and that's why it's a madura, as multiple flames instead of one flame. She makes shalom, and we make havdalah. This is why I think pshat. It's like a lot of weird. Not even chazals, but like all these things people say about havdalah. If a girl drinks havdalah, she gets a beard.
Right.
If you hold the candle, it's the height of your chassan. All these things come. So I think this is pshat. It's what it's saying is that a girl shouldn't be involved in havdalah. You're a ma'achid. If you're going to be involved in havdalah, you grow a beard. It's masculine. It's masculine to be a mefarid. It's you have a role. Hold the candle the height of that's your chassan. Who's you holding it? Because this is my mavdil. Every girl has a mavdil, and she's a ma'achid, and could very well be that's what when you in the pnimis. So that could be those are the pshatim. I'll be religion of what's really going on. It just means it's not feminine for a woman to be involved in machlekas. But you should have a loichin. hold the candle, the Havdalah candle, the Madura, the height of your Leichin. That's the perfect symbol for. I'm not saying these things don't work, like Al Pi Kabbalah, but it's good to understand them Al Pi Svara also.
So why do we put the fires together? By nearest.
Because then it's two neiras. It's not a Madura. You want a Madura.
You have to do it. If you use single candles, you bring
Then it's two candles. You want Dafka the Madura. That's what Havdalah has to be.
What is Madura mean?
Torch.
No, I know, but what's the Indian of
I
it?
mean, it's machlok.
Multiple
things burning.
It's that complex inferno. It's not a refined little mayor. It's it's a brisker candle. That kind of thing. It's that's the pshat. So that's why. So the kasha is then. So we have. The Voira Eshes Lapidos. The Voira the Shefetes, her husband's name was Lapidos. Why was he called Lapidos? Because it says he made the candle, the wicks. He made the wicks for the Beis Hamikdash. His mishpacha made the wicks. So what's the kasha? The kasha is the Gaval kasha. The kasha is like it's like so classic. Like this is the real feminist problem. So like, okay, women make threads, except the important ones. When it gets to Beis Hamikdash, then we bring in, like, women cook, but the best chefs are all men. Like, it's mamish it's the worst, it's a terror that leads to the worst place. Okay, so I'm asking, you gave us that we're ma'achdim, except Beis Hamikdash achtas, then the man has to do that. Total. So what's a teretz? So why is it that Lapidos made the wicks?
You mean the wicks for the menorah?
The wicks for the Beis Hamikdash. I don't know if it says specifically which ones. The Beis Hamikdash. He made the wicks for the Beis Hamikdash. That was his role, his mishpacha. So I have two terutzim. Maybe combine them. One teretz is exactly that. The Voira was the shayfetas. So they reversed roles. She was the lamdim. She was the dayan, sitting there handling in machlokes. That's what a shayfet does, right? Dinei Torah. So he made wicks. It's a raya. This was an upside down relationship. Everyone's masking that Devayer, right? That Devayer was a shayfetas. So Devayer shayfetas.
He was a stay-at-home dad.
He was a wick maker. He was a thread maker. He ran the spindle. That's one teretz. The other teretz is very gishmakis. If you learn by the Mavlikin, how did they make the wicks? What does it say? Midvloi michnasei kahanim. From the worn out pants of the kahanim, they would cut them up, and they would use those pieces as wicks. So that's a whole different kind of wick. That kind of wick is male wicks. It wasn't made by spinning. It was made by cutting. The wicks in the Beis Hamikdash were cut up wicks. Mela, that's why Lapidos made them. But it could be, if you learn the Gemara, it could very well be that wasn't all the wicks. It was only the wicks for the Simchas Beis She'eva were made.
Which was a torch. Anyways.
What?
Which was a torch. It wasn't a...
Right, so maybe, but it could be it's ways to learn the Gemara. That's everything Beis Hamikdash, whatever it is. But it's a very useful havana stamasay to understand that the relationship is again it's mafarid and a machir. It's a very very big insight to explains a lot of things. It's a very useful havana. Yeah. All right.
Oh,
Perfect.